right, so welcome back, guys, to another vlog. For this vlog, I was actually planning to do some live commentary for you guys, but and that's why I didn't film an intro. But as you can tell throughout the vlog, I am actually quite tired and not really feeling the workout a whole lot. So I didn't really say much, but I will be over here guiding you guys through the workout, giving you a little background explanation of everything I'm doing, how I'm planning to kind of progress through towards the show, and just overall keep you guys entertained while you're watching this video. So starting off, I started with a shrug. I have been trying to kind of build my traps up a bit, get a bit more of size in that upper shoulder trap area, because that is somewhere I am kind of lagging in general when I'm posing, and that's something that I've noticed just throughout my posing, that I have been lagging a bit in just trap size, shoulder size, in that general space. So over here, I started with 3 sets till failure. You guys are gonna see, I do see Hussein in this video actually. He's gonna be somewhere in the back, you'll see. But pretty much I take every set to failure or past failure, just to make sure I'm really getting as much growth as I can with the few sets that I have. And this machine right here, I'm actually not a big fan of, to be honest. There is another shrug that you guys will probably see in later videos somewhere in Atlantis that, in my opinion, is a lot better, but I didn't know about it yet, so I was using this shrug here. There he is. For those of you who didn't see, Hussein is right there in the background.
You got Hussein Farhad at the gym. Shit, Dwayne. Looking small though, I must admit.
And so here I am hitting my last set, just kind of showing you guys the overall form all around. What I'm kind of looking for here is between every set to bend over a bit, as you can tell, and kind of get a really deep stretch on my traps between each rep. And then when contracting each rep, I try to look up or just kind of bring my body back up a bit more to really get a deep contraction with every set. Now we moved on over to some back over here. Now this workout is actually technically a shoulder and arm day, but I do include some sets that pretty much are extra sets to kind of fill in volume that I'm trying to grow specific muscle groups. So as I was saying, my trap area, my upper back area is just kind of overall lagging in general for poses. So that's kind of why I'm filling in some volume here at the start of my workout, to make sure I'm hitting some quality sets for these muscles and making sure that they grow throughout the competition prep, so that when I'm on stage, you can actually see a visible difference with my posing. Now, this machine, I don't know if I've shown you guys it before, but it is actually one of my favorite rows. It really puts a huge emphasis, as you can see by the way that the actual machine moves, on the stretched position. So the weight is kind of, gravity is affecting it most in the stretched position, and then as I row, it's going up in an angle and gravity is affecting it less, which makes it lighter as you're getting closer to the contraction, which allows me to hold the contraction for as long as I want and really feel a deep contraction in my back muscles with every single rep. So I do this machine probably twice per week, just generally trying to progress it as much as possible and build as much back gains as I can before the competition. And so now that I'm done with that, I'm moving on to actual shoulder and arm stuff. We start out with a bent over reverse fly. This machine's actually really good for hitting the rear to middle delt area at the same time. It also has padding, which allows me to kind of push past my limit to an extent, really force myself against that padding and eke out as many reps as I possibly can. This one is one of my favorite exercises for the rear delts and middle delts at the same time. It also allows me to fully extend my arm with every rep, which I find gives worse leverage to the delts, which makes the weight feel heavier. And you could kind of replicate that with every rep and make sure that every single time you do the exercise, you're kind of mechanically disadvantaging the delts to the best of your ability so that you can actually overload it better over time because it needs less weight to achieve the same level of failure. And as you can see, I'm looking absolutely shredded when I'm doing this. I try to make every rep look the same. So, as with all exercises, I like to really go slow when I'm going back down in the eccentric phase, because you're actually stronger in the eccentric than you are in the concentric, for those of you who don't know. And the eccentric phase provides its own type of additional growth that you get other than the concentric phase's growth. So making sure that you're actually actively resisting the weight on the eccentrics. It doesn't have to be a super long eccentric, but just making sure that you're actively resisting the weight during the eccentric will provide you with more growth than you have been achieving before. And then after that, we are moving on to my absolute favorite tricep machine right here. It is the seated cable tricep overhead extension. Kudos to Atlantis for this machine. This machine has given me the best tricep pump I have ever felt in my entire life. This machine is something I feel like is going to be contributing to my overall tricep growth a lot during this prep season. It keeps you really nice and stable with every single set and every single rep as well. You're just really locked in for all the reps, meaning that you can just focus solely on using your tricep to move the weight with every single rep. My headphones do fall off here, but sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. You got to continue the set. Basically, I'm just making sure that I don't move anywhere but at the tricep, so at the elbow, which is really, really easy with this machine because pushing against the back pad there really locks in my shoulder joint. And you just feel a crazy tricep stimulus with this. If you guys have this machine in your gym and you haven't tried it out, please go ahead and try it out. It is my absolute favorite. And basically, same thing on this as with all other exercises. We're taking it to or past failure if we can. The goal is to really focus on the specific muscle group that I'm trying to hit. Make sure that I feel it with every rep. I get a nice pump in there. Now, the pump doesn't really contribute to any growth, but just at least knowing that the pump is going towards the muscle that I'm hitting helps me know that I'm hitting it properly. So I'm feeling a lot of stimulus in that muscle and taking it to failure, which drives growth through mechanical tension, for those of you who don't know. And that's kind of just the focus I have for every single exercise. Moving on to the preacher curl over here. There is a better preacher curl in Atlantis that I have used in the past and will probably show you in future videos as well. I don't know if I have before, but that one was taken this day, sadly. So I decided to move on to this one. Is a more upright preacher curl. The other one leans you down at an angle, at a kind of decline. And they're both really good, to be honest. But the other one, I just slightly feel a bit more in my biceps. I feel a bit more in the stretch, so I like it a lot more. But they are both really good. You could use the same weight for both of them. I think they are actually literally the same machine. Just the way that Atlantis set up the padding on one is slightly different than the other. And with this one, you really get a deep stretch with every rep, as you can see over there. The padding is really forcing your arms in this upright position, and the way that the machine is set up, the weight pulls down to an extent that it's really putting a deep stretch on your biceps between each rep, which of course is something I'm always looking for when I'm looking for what machine to use, is really get that stretch position, really focus on that eccentric phase, make sure I'm getting a good contraction, usually try and hopefully get a really quick contraction, an explosive contraction, which helps contribute to strength training. And hopefully having a machine that allows you to get a deep hold at the top of the contraction. Those are the general four things I kind of look for to make a quote unquote optimal exercise. And Atlantis is really good at providing that. Pretty much all of their machines, if not most of their machines, really lets you get into a position where you could get a really, really deep stretch, still under load without the load hitting the bottom end of the range. And it allows you to smoothly move that load up into that contracted position, really hold for as long as you need, and go back down in that stretch with an eccentric emphasis. And the thing about Atlantis machines also is that everything is just super smooth. So there isn't any huge differences for the most part in the way that it's loaded. So there's no specific area that it takes more work than another, or that needs to be kind of greased, which I find happens a lot in commercial gyms. Like, you'll be using a machine that's really awesome, but they either didn't the machine engineers didn't think of a certain sticking point on it, or the machine just isn't oiled up, the chain or something, and then you feel like a bit more resistance in an awkward position on the machine, and it just kind of ruins the overall set. So that's a shame for a lot of commercial gyms. But Atlantis, a lot of their equipment, I haven't really seen any issues across the board, even in other gyms that carry Atlantis equipment. So I'm assuming it's something to do with the engineering. They're really good at providing that smooth resistance profile throughout the entire exercise, unless it's a machine that specifically focuses on a certain point in the resistance curve to be heavier than a different point. But even then, they have a way of making those types of machines really smoothly go through that difference in the resistance curve. And so, as you guys have seen here, I've moved over to one of my favorite lateral raises. I must admit, for Atlantis, this one is up there. I'd say maybe top 2 lateral raises, but I do like their padded one just a bit more, because the grip issue with this one is that I kind of lose grip a bit and have to readjust between reps on occasion, which isn't the end of the world. It is still a really smooth machine. It lets you really get out to that top end range of motion. The resistance profile is beautiful on it. This is one of the greatest delt pumps I've ever felt in my life, is using this machine. But their seated padded one does give me a slightly better pump, because I can kind of eke out a few more reps using that padding instead of having to focus specifically on my grip. But other than that, super solid machine right here. For lateral raises, I'll usually go in the higher rep range. So as for pretty much all my exercises, I do 3 sets, 2 are pass failure. Lateral raises, I'll usually go in that higher, like maybe 10 to 15 rep range. Not for any specific reason, not like the side delt muscles or anything only grow in that range, even though that's something that a lot of fitness gurus say, that you have to do higher reps for your side delts. That's more just a preference thing. I actually do, on the padded machine, use lower reps because grip is less of an issue. But for this machine specifically, I really like that 10 to 15 range because it gives me a nice juicy pump, and I don't have to worry about constantly re-gripping. And speaking of the seated padded lateral raise, here I am using it. I think this is my first time using the Atlantis one here. So I did have to kind of readjust a bit a few times in between reps, just because I was kind of getting used to the machine itself. But still, beautiful pump even on your first use when you're not used to the machine. And like I was telling you guys, I can really go past failure even if I'm not getting that full range of motion, just kind of pushing against the pad. I'm not even really gripping at all in those last few reps right there. I was just more using, like, even right there, you could tell I let go of the grip fully and just pushed against the pad. It lets me focus a lot more on using my side delts. I feel a slightly better mind muscle connection just because I don't have to really grip tight or anything like that. Now this machine, as you guys can tell, I'm doing in a slightly lower rep range than the standing lateral raise. And that's just because for most, if not all my muscles, I will try and hit a variety of rep ranges. So 3 to 5, 6 to 10, and then 10 to 15, just to kind of make sure that if there's any specific muscle fiber type that I am predominant in any muscle with, I am hitting the functions of that muscle fiber type. Not that it's gonna change hypertrophy to a very significant degree in any way, but it is something that if it does give me maybe 0.5% of extra growth in the long run, that I want to make sure I am hitting, just in case I can potentially get that 0.5% to percent of growth. But it's not something that you really need to do. Just including variety in general is nice, and it also kind of helps you realize what kind of rep ranges, what kind of variations you specifically prefer over time. And then you could kind of, with each specific muscle, gravitate towards that rep range, that variation, etc., etc., to kind of feel it the most in that muscle and reach failure the best. So moving on from the seated padded lateral raise, I moved on to over here the tricep extension. Now this is my first time using it, so I was changing grip a bit, feeling how I feel. This is something I just recommend for everyone in general. Whenever you're trying a new exercise, try different variations. See what feels best, see what rep range feels best. If you're getting a better pump in a higher one, lower one on the machine, maybe a different grip, maybe a different seated position, anything like that. Just try and feel what you like the most, so that in the future when you come back to that machine, you'll know what you liked the most about it, and what variation to go to immediately, and get the best growth that you can throughout your career. Now, this machine was pretty cool, but I don't think I include it in the future. It is just slightly awkward because the length of the forearm grip kind of forces your arms to move in a very specific movement pattern, which does kind of take away from my mind muscle connection on the triceps. So while it was fun using it for this exercise, for this day of training, I ceased using it in the future. And for the arm day finisher, I decided to go with a front raise and a lateral raise. But I didn't really want to use the cable machine like I usually do. I wanted to use something that was a bit more stable, like a seated cable machine. but I couldn't find any machine that was actually specifically designed for lateral or side raises while seated. This one I think was more of a tricep or shoulder press exercise or something. But I decided to grip it in a different way and kind of move the seat in a specific way that allowed me to do front and side raises. It was a bit awkward though, so I only do it a few more times in future videos. It's not something I was super ecstatic about. I mean, I did feel a good pump. It's just a bit awkward to get back into the position, and usually when an exercise is kind of awkward to get into the position that you like, or takes a lot of work to get that stimulus that you like with it, you're not going to repeatably use it, or you're going to be less likely to actually do the set, especially if it's at the end of the end of a workout. You're usually going to skip it. A lot of times why people skip abs is just because it makes them uncomfortable, so they put it at the end of their workout, and then once they get to the end of the workout, they think, I'm just going to skip it. So yeah, I did end up changing the variation over time just because I wasn't super comfortable with it, to be honest. Other than that, though, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry for the change in format. I will be going back to the regular format soon, hopefully. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Peace.